Hi everyone, and welcome to yet another episode of Circling the Rabbit Hole podcast with me, Dr. Claire Kinuthia. I am, as always, very excited to be here once again to hold space for very important conversations in the sexual health, reproductive health, and related mental health space. I'm very keen to continue to have conversations that we still shy away from and we're refusing to own for ourselves, and yet they're so important and so vital. So I thank those who have been watching and listening and engaging with the podcast so far. Your feedback is very helpful and very amazing and very encouraging for me so that we continue to do the work that we have set out to do. Today's episode is another one where the youth get to speak for themselves. That's the best way to put it. I've invited on set, and they've graciously accepted to join me, a group of young people from Kenyatta University to talk about their own personal experiences, what we can do better for them, and what they are doing for themselves, the steps they have taken in order to improve the situation for themselves. And so I will turn to them now and have them introduce themselves. I'll start from my very far right. Please introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Thank you. My name is Carren Okello. I'm a student at Kenyatta University taking Education Arts, English Literature.
Right, yeah. Okay. That's fantastic. And what year of uni are you?
I'm in second year.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And for you?
So thank you, Dr. E. It is good you say that the best way you can empower individuals is through engagement. Mm-hmm. And the best way you can engage the youths is through engaging the youths. My name is Steven Obiero. I am a fourth-year student in the School of Education at Kenyatta University. Mm-hmm. By God's grace, I also serve as the chairperson of the peer counseling group within the university. And I also volunteer for Africa Student for Liberty with SDGs.
Fantastic.
Yes.
I love being surrounded by leaders, the leaders of the future.
No, we don't say leaders of the future. We are leaders of today.
I agree.
Yes.
Fully. And what about you, my dear?
Hi everyone, I am Murigi Grace Njeri. I'm 19 years old, a second year in Kenyatta University. In the School of Education, I take English and Literature. I am also a peer counselor, serving as the secretary to the peer counselors.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Okay, I love that you're already owning your own space, that you're already leaders in your community, and that's a fantastic thing for us to see. Maybe now to ask a little bit more about yourselves on a personal level. So what do you guys enjoy doing when you're not being serious leaders? Do you have hobbies? Do you have activities that you engage in? Maybe share a little bit with us.
Okay, personally, I love singing a lot.
Okay.
Yes, so I do sing in the church with my friends, and I also learn how to dance. I'm not a good dancer, but I try to. Yeah.
We should do a TikTok thing after
sure.
this. Yeah, no.
Yeah, I enjoy dancing. I also enjoy conversing with people. I love learning from people, so I enjoy being in the social space.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, fantastic. What about you, Steven?
Okay, for me, I love Taekwondo. Being the Obiero who is a leader, I do my Taekwondo, and as well as I love football. Okay. With that, I also do more of a reading because I need to expand my knowledge and know more about other things. So those are the things I love doing.
Okay, all right. Yeah. What about you, Carren?
I like reading. That's one. Because actually even my course is based on reading literature. Yeah. So again, I like, but again, I don't know how to do it. I like dancing. Okay. I know how to dance best in my head. I can do that. I can do that very well. I can do it very perfectly in my head, but I don't know how to do it physically.
Something changes.
But I hope I will do it. I hope I will know that with time. Right. Yeah. Actually, again, I love visiting new places. Yeah. So, yeah.
Okay. Is that what made you come?
Yeah, actually. I didn't know this place. So I was like, I want to know where this place is. And By the grace of God, I'm here.
I'm glad. And thank you guys so much for honoring the invitation. As always, it's easier to say no than it is to say yes to a new experience. And now just to go straight into our topic of the day. Okay. So then now just to go straight into the topic of the day, I'd like to know a little bit about your background in terms of family and upbringing so that we can start to understand where your first learnings were when it came to learning about your body, about interacting with other people, about your sexual and reproductive health, as well as the related mental health issues. And maybe this time I start here with Grace.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so I come from Nakuru County, that is in Gilgil.
Okay.
So since I was a child, my upbringing was in a closed setup. You see the way you're locked up. Okay, not really locked up so that you don't see other people, but you don't really get the chance to interact with people well because probably of the strict parents.
Right.
Again, it's a slum-ish area, so the parents have to be so much strict with how they are bringing you up and all that.
For your safety?
Sure.
Okay.
But I can say I went to St. Peter's Elite. It's in Gilgil. So I think that is where I first interacted with something to do with my body, but not entirely sexual and reproductive health, just menstrual health and all that. But again, the knowledge that you get in school, you can't question your parent.
Yeah.
They are too strict to that extent. You don't feel like you're free to talk with them.
So what you were learning, you were not able to go and ask questions at home. Okay.
Probably just asking your peers. Some of us have started their menses, some of us have not started, and you're so much scared because we were being told that by 16 you should have started your menses. Now you're at a certain age, you've not started your menses, and you're like, oh, maybe I tell my mom.
Okay. So you felt restricted with who you could speak to about body changes as well as now. Okay. It sounds like everything else wasn't covered. We just focused on menstrual health.
Sure.
Okay. All right. What about you? As a gentleman, especially, because there I'm very keen. I sort of have understanding of girls, but for guys, what was your experience?
For me, the moment the body changes, I started to realize it was the aspect where the time I started, it was just in the book work.
Okay.
You do it, you study, you do exams, you pass. There's no setup where we will talk about these things on matters.
So it was like in biology when you did the class.
That is the science in primary.
Okay, science.
So you start with the science.
I'm showing my age, sorry. In science, yes.
Yeah, so you start with the science, you get to know these things, but you can't face a elder person. And then there's this cartoon pressure. Also, you get your friends now start being bass if you're in school, because we have the choir within the school. You are being told you go sing tenor and soprano. Bass is for the big boys.
Oh wow!
So that's how now the changes now. But for the first time I met it was for academic purpose, and you'll read it, do exams, and
that's the end.
Follow up of it.
Okay. So no practical skills. No one explained further what was being taught. Nothing like that.
No, off classwork, nobody will talk about.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And what about you, Carren?
Okay. I come from Homa Bay, and let me say that's the place where I grew up. My life was based at home.
Okay.
So I stayed with my grandparents, my guardians. Yeah, and guardians, like the grandparents, they are aged. So I can't go to them and ask them all these things that happens. My life was based on school.
Okay.
Let me not say it's my guardians. They
Right.
didn't tell me anything.
Okay.
It's my school that I learned.
That's a very similar story across the board, which really makes me sad because clearly there's a gap. As guardians, as parents, there's a gap there that we are entrusting others. And we're not even labeling who the others are. We're just believing this child will pick up information from somewhere. Did you ever, at that time, and especially now, as well as looking back, did you ever feel like it was a gap for you, or was it just, this is my reality?
I'd say I never realized it's a gap because that's your upbringing. You think everyone else is treated the same thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So personally, I don't think I saw it as a gap. I saw it as a normality.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a normal way of life. You don't have to ask your parents about your body.
Right.
Because maybe we thought they could beat me.
Right.
I
Okay.
am asking
Yeah.
bad manners.
Right. Yeah. Because I mean, that's the word we use, bad manners.
uh-huh.
Everything that has to do with anything is bad manners.
Sure.
Right. Did you have any other sources? So we, my generation, again, I'll keep addressing based off of the differences because it's significant given for us, our upbringing was very similar. We didn't get information from our guardians, our parents. At most, it was in school, maybe a scary video here and there to tell you to abstain. Full stop. That was the extent of the information we used to get. And we are now your parents, and the same is being propagated. But then the difference with us now that we see significantly, and it's a big concern on repeat by parents and by guardians, is access to information online, which is what you have that we didn't have as much. If I wanted to use the internet, if it wasn't when I was really young, it was dial-up and it takes forever and it's too expensive and you don't really have any information. Later on, it was if you get to a cyber cafe and you have the money, you can look up what you know how to look up. You don't know what you don't know, right? But now you guys, it's at a touch of a button. Every piece of information, any question you have, you Google and you'll get an answer. Whether it's right information or not, that's different. But did you also have that exposure from a younger age, or is it something that came later on, the access to online? Maybe I'll start with you, Steven.
So for me, I'll say I studied it at a earlier age. At class 7, already I had a phone.
Okay.
But the phone, you will have it, but the only thing you will do, you will try to look for this thing to what is taking place. But at that time also, I took it as a normal thing because I was in my class, I was the minutest, the youngest, if there's that term.
Right. Okay.
The smallest, because even the teacher will be like, what Obiro says is the final.
Okay.
So you realize that even talking about this matter of growth and everything, you will now see the aspect of development, no.
Okay.
Because being you're the smallest in the class, what do you want to see?
Yeah.
And by the time there are some people I learned with that were very big. And they say base and say where, you'll be like.
And so you're intimidated to be quiet.
But the access to the information on the internet, at class 7, my dad bought a phone for the family because they used to work. My dad used to be in Nairobi.
Okay.
And my mom used to be in Embu.
Okay.
So back we are in Kisumu. So the only way we can link is through call, and when they want to send money, they have to call. So by that time we have this access of information. But what we used to now view were now not. They never had the guidance.
Right.
This now you now grow, but you don't go look matters on sexual reproductive health. When you talk about sex, the only thing you'll think about was pornography. Yes, that's what you'll go search, and that's what was taking place by then. Yeah.
Okay. Anyone else have, like Carren, for example, when was your first access to this monster we call the internet?
Hey, I don't know if I can blame my guardians or me. I don't know. Because actually they were not allowing me to. I remember the first time I had a phone was in Form 4.
Okay.
Yeah, and I used this tactic. I talked with a certain teacher and told him, you can call home and tell them that we are supposed to be given an assignment, and this assignment you're supposed to have an individual phone.
Right.
Yeah, so that's what I used, and he did that, and I was given a phone in Form 4. So all these things, let me say, if I want to do something, if I want to check anything, I'll use someone's phone to do all these stuff. Yeah, but mine, first time it was in Form 4.
It was in Form 4, okay. And when you got that phone, or rather access before Form 4, when you had those bits of times where you had access through a different phone, what were you looking for online?
Actually, it was like just communication.
Okay.
You want to communicate with your fellow.
With your friends.
You want them to know that you have a phone also here at home.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like you have their numbers. Now I'll just text. It was just for communication.
Okay.
Yeah,
so not yet at the point of getting access online. Okay. And what about you, Grace?
The first time I had a phone was in class 6, but again, I was not that much informed that I can get information online.
Right, yeah.
So let's say in high school, that is when I knew maybe I can search something online due to the assignments. The assignments are online. You have to research some answers. Now that is when I got to know I can get some information online.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. through high school, because as you go, were you in day schools or boarding schools? Maybe I start there. Or is it mixed? Boarding. What about you, Steven?
For me, I've learned in 3 schools. I've learned in day.
You have had exposure to everything.
I've learned in day. I've learned in day. I've learned in boarding.
Okay. Yeah. So from now interacting with your age mates at a high school level, was there any difference in terms of, because now the peer guidance, pressure, influence starts to come in, was there a difference with your access to information at that point?
I'd say a lot. People came from different backgrounds.
Exactly.
Kuna wale wa Nairobi, there are those ones from the reserved places, and all these ones who come from the urban areas. They give you pressure. Rather, they give the others pressure.
Right.
There are things that they discuss and you're not well familiar with, and at some point, because it's high school and there's the peer pressure thing, you'll try to kind of fit so that you can be in their stories and relate with them, because you don't want to feel left out.
Right.
You don't want to feel like you don't belong in that school or something. Again, computer labs. You're exposed to much information. The computer that you learned in primary is not the computer that you learn in high school. Yeah, so the computers, you can communicate with people from other schools through the computers in the school.
Yeah.
So I think there was a big difference between how we could access information online. Primary, probably, personally, I did, as I had said, didn't know I could get information online, but high school brought the change.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And what about you guys? Was it any different in high school?
So for me, I'll say it was different, because just as she has said, that people are different. Just using the 5-finger principle, not all of them are equal. So remember, you get this person who he knows, the other person don't know. But basically, this now played a role when I joined a boarding school. While I was in a day school, mimi ndo nilikuwa kusema, because I was the one having the phone.
Yeah,
I was the one having the laptop.
Yeah.
But when I went to boarding, boarding pure boys, now you come the skills of you doing computer. And now you want to differentiate yourself from people doing agriculture and business and everything.
Yeah.
So now by that place, you know how to operate the computer, so you'll be you'll be at the forefront. But now you get somebody who comes from Nairobi, in quotes, what they call themselves Nairobi boys. So when they come there,
I like how that's a thing. That's such a thing. Yeah.
So when Nairobi boys come, the other people would know. So you don't know.
You don't know. You have to take a back seat to them.
So that pressure now makes you, if I don't know, I need to know. But I thank God also, because when I was trying to want to know, I became the principal's boy. So I never get into it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And what about you?
Exactly. Whatever they have said is the truth.
Yeah.
There is a very big difference. And this, if you're in high school, people come from different places.
Yeah.
Like now, mine. When I was in primary, let me say there were just people from around. But now high school, people from different corners.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there are also these people from urban places, those who know more about this internet than you. So they will come, they will even create their own group. They just stay together,
so they
and
discuss and stay away from everyone else.
And they discuss their things. So you're left out, but you can't just tell them you don't know. You also want to know. Yeah, so you can go and fix yourself, but you don't understand all these things. So like in high school, they know more about this internet thing than.
Okay. And then in high school, off of the curriculum in school, did you have any further education? Because it sounds still like there's still a bit of a gap in terms of who is giving you information about what to expect as you're growing up, how to interact with your peers as well as peers of the opposite sex. Did you have any difference now? Was there extra information? Was there a specific class or a course that you took where you'd learn about your body and learn about the changes that are coming and how to manage yourself and others around you? Anything like that during high school?
So just to say, for me, when I went in high school, now there was this the biology aspect. Now, the biology aspect, then also in high school, I got to be funkyholic. I will go to any function, yeah.
What did you just call yourself? I like that. A funkyholic.
So I used to go to every function with them.
Right,
Like,
yeah.
if
Funkies
sports
still happen.
they used by then we used to have funky, yeah.
This has made me
So
feel
if
young.
it is music,
Yeah.
I'll be good in music. And because of my body size, they will say effort.
He can
Let
dance.
this young man go. Yeah. Then if it is games,
Yeah.
I will go with the games, football. Now rugby I could play, but I will be the scout.
Right.
Doing the
first
first aid.
aider.
The
I like
first aider,
that.
yeah.
You and me had that in common.
So when we go to these events, that's now at time now you have now the body has now developed. Now the peers are now trying to introduce you. Go seduce that lady. For the first time, I was given a challenge. If you call that lady and bring her here, and she gives you a hug, we are giving you the bread for the whole week.
Oh wow!
You are being because when I went to boarding school, we used to be given. We had a bakery, so you'll be given those who go for games.
Yeah,
they'll be given bread.
And was it milk or soda?
Yeah,
Because it was the same for us.
For us, was the bread.
Right.
So I had to do
so
confidence zero, but because of bread.
There's a motivating factor.
You will go and call that lady. Just tell her. You'll just tell her, I have been told if you give me a hug, this is my bread. You don't say any other thing. And now you see some will abuse you. Others, but now from the biology aspect, now I tend now to start to see. Then now the changes now. You now read because now the moment you grow, you now realize that now you're becoming also bigger. And now the thinking now starts to expand. Now you will think about this thing. So with that, now the gap is now started to be bridged. Yes.
Okay.
But it was not at that moment where it was not fully bridged because even the fellow teacher, it was only left for guidance and counseling. And the guidance and counseling, is when I was seeing that was a problem just the other day. That when I was in a mixed school, we were being told that your girlfriends are in Form 4. That when a lady is in Form 1, when a boy is in Form 1, you're told, and a lady is in Form 1, then they are being told that their boyfriends are in Form 4. Not knowing that now making Form 4 to come and date, those are in Form 1. Yes?
That's interesting.
So that's now what was taking. I just realized the other day that was now becoming a problem.
That's problematic.
So now when I moved to a boarding school, now you realize now it was left for guidance and counseling. And the guidance and counseling, they will say relationship is bad.
Right.
You're not, that's the end of it. Relationship is bad.
Yeah. Abstain. Full stop.
You're told you came here for a reason and for a season. That was the
Masomo tupu.
Yeah.
Focus on your books. Right. Yeah. Okay. What was your experience, Carren?
In high school, we had these peer counseling teachers, or those teachers who could counsel us. But they used to tell us also to abstain. In our school, if you come to school when you're pregnant, because they will do the test, you will go back home with your things because they always believe that you will understand whatever thing they've said.
Wait, let me understand. Did you say they test you for pregnancy?
They used to test us. If you come to school, they give you a week or 2, then you being tested with those kits.
Oh wow!
Yeah, they used to do that. And if you're pregnant, you'll go back home.
Okay.
Yeah, they used to do that.
That has caught me off guard. I did not know. Okay, so it was routine practice. You come from your holidays and you're tested for pregnancy.
You're coming, and you'll be caught unaware.
Right.
You'll be in school first week. Things are just normal.
Yeah.
Second week, then you're seeing them calling the class representative and telling them to write the names. You're being called and you're being done the test. Each and every one of you. They're the ones doing the test. If you're pregnant, they'll call your parents. They'll come and you'll go back home with your things.
That is so problematic. I'm actually speechless.
I know.
So no education around your body and how to take care of yourself and what sex actually is and how to protect yourself. But we will, without your consent, test you for pregnancy.
We only had these teachers Actually, I told you we had these teachers. If you have any problem, you'll go to them. It's not that there is a club that now if there is a peer counselor or the guidance and counseling club. It's only these
just
teachers.
certain teachers who are trustworthy.
So if you have any problem, if you want to know anything, you'll go to them. But if we open, they must test this.
So what happened to girls who tested positive?
They go home. Okay, your parents will be called, then you go home. Because when you go to school, they have the parents' contacts or the guardians. So you'll just be like, you're being called, you don't know why. Then they tell you, you go to the dormitory, pick your things, your belonging, then you
So
go.
they were not allowed in school?
They're not allowed because they say they don't have the diets that will feed you with you. Yeah, they always say that. So it's your responsibility to stay safe.
Without information.
And you can't stay safe if you don't have this knowledge.
Exactly.
Yeah, but I thought they were supposed to teach us to make us aware of all these things, but they didn't do that. But now it was now our responsibility to abstain, not even to do whatever. We were supposed to abstain because if you don't abstain, you don't know what's going to happen on this next year.
Right. Wow. That's all I have to say. I'm literally, my brain is still processing that information. Okay, we will come back to how problematic. I'm sure now, with hindsight, you know how problematic that is. But it's shocking, to say the least, because it's such a big gap. We're not doing things the right way around. Instead of dealing with young people and giving them the right information and the right tools to be safe and to protect themselves, we are then waiting till they mess up and punishing them.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Okay, we will come back to that point. What about you, Grace?
For my school, it's just as they have mentioned. There were these teachers, the guidance and counseling teachers. But again, you will feel that you don't really need them at some point because you already know the result. As in, you already know they're going to make the decision for you, and probably you don't feel very much comfortable with the option that they are giving you. You know, at some point, the aspect of counseling, you give options, then the victim will choose what works best for them. But for them, there is a rule.
Okay.
This is how things are done.
Right.
Yeah, you don't have an opinion.
So you don't get an opinion. You're just told this is the way things are supposed to work. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And that was the whole experience.
Sure.
So the the guidance and counseling was there, but they were not actually guiding or counseling.
Sure.
They're telling you how to.
Just to say something on that, sometimes you'll take your issue, but you become story in the staff room.
That's the other
thing. So that was something that was scary.
Right.
You just say, now that lady is pregnant.
And
a teacher will come, start the way you open your legs, you're like, what start taking place?
Oh, no.
Yeah. So that's now what the confidentiality within the high school counseling department was.
It was non-existent.
Because now you'll get to be a story within the staff room.
Right.
Yeah.
That's so unfortunate. Okay. You guys have left me dumbfounded. And I think this is the importance of hearing. Literally, the way we would put it is from the horse's mouth. We keep assuming that we are doing the right thing by the youth, and we keep saying there's programs and there's ways we are educating and we are reaching out. There's not clinics, but like clubs for the youth, and you guys are getting all the information that you need. And yet, from the sounds of things, that is very inaccurate. And I think that will bring us to the conversation about policy and implementation, because sitting at the policy making level, the documents are there, the policies are present, and we have such amazing youth-friendly services described on paper. But apparently it's not trickling down into your realities, right? When now I don't even know what else to ask, because now I'm like, there's no information. But when it came to, let me come to you, Steven. When it comes to, you're not being given information about yourself. Were you ever, outside of biology now, because we're in high school, taught about the woman's system, the reproductive system, what a period is, how to look after a female? Because again, we've always had this focused to women are taught about it and the men are not. So was there any information on your end in terms of just teaching you about how reproduction works, and especially so the female body?
So when I was in the mixed school, they will know that information. They will just say if they want to talk about menses, they will take ladies
separately.
They take them to where they will meet, or then they will be distributing the pads and everything. But for us, the gents, I never saw it in a mix. But when I went to the boys' school boarding, whenever there was the neighboring school, because we used to have a neighboring school, and we used to have this sponsor who would bring the pads. It happens twice when I was there. They will come but they won't now talk about menses.
Okay.
Instead of telling men about menses, they'll talk about men hygiene. Okay. They will now just be talking on hygiene. You bathe, you bathe. That's what they'll sing. Bathe, bathe, bathe. But the issue on menses, periods, no.
Not at all.
They don't.
So did you always feel, up until that point, did you always feel like that was a woman's issue, completely separate from you? Or did you feel like you should also know a bit more about it?
Okay, I will say at start, I left it to be something that was for the ladies. But until my sister asked me to buy her pads that was when I was in Form 4. Mom sent money, and I was now to go do her shopping. And in the shopping list was sanitary pad.
Right.
So until then, it never dawned to me that it was be a man issue. I was like, let me buy her. So when my sister went to school, when she came back, she was sick. But when now she came back, she left her pads in school. So that time is now done. How am I going to buy it in the pharmacy?
Okay.
Yeah.
But that was the extent of the knowledge.
Yeah, that was it. Like it was just because even my sister will not talk about it.
Yeah.
It forced her. She will write a note and leave it there.
Okay.
Naende kwa room yake.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you feel that this lack of information leads to shame around those topics? Do you feel like there's any difference? Because again, I'm talking to you now. I can't ignore the fact that you're peer counselors now, but you have that ability for hindsight and how you look at SRHR topics now versus then. Do you feel like there's a shift between having information and not having information in terms of shame and not wanting to talk about things and not wanting to call things what they are, things like that?
I think there is a very big difference. You know, a small girl who doesn't have information on menstrual health, and again she starts rolling, she starts having her menses. Now she thinks she is going to die the next minute because blood is coming out of her body, and she'll feel like she needs to seclude herself because she thinks she is sick and she can't seek help. But again, when someone is informed, you'll know it's a normal thing. Yeah, I'll go to the nurse, school nurse, maybe if I don't have a sanitary towel, ask for one. I'll go to a certain teacher. So I think it's better to have information than not having information. Yeah, because information is power. Something that you have in your mind, no one can steal it from you.
That's true. Carren, what's your opinion on that?
Exactly. Information is key.
Right. So do you feel like we're helping or hurting by keeping information from the youth?
If you keep, you're hurting them because they're doing something with their own knowledge.
Right.
They don't know what they're supposed to do. But if you give them this information, they'll do it. But behind or in their mind, they know there is this thing that I'm doing that's not good. There is this thing that I'm doing, but if I continue with it, it's going to put me in this place that's not correct. So you're supposed to tell them, you're supposed to let them know.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Just again, around the same time in your lives, did the church and religious institutions around you, if you're Christian or Muslim or whatever, did you have any support on that side? Like if you had a youth group or you were in the choir, did you have any sessions through the church that gave you any reproductive sexual health information?
For the church, there's one solid thing. I'd say first on abstinence. It's abstinence, and nothing else until you get married. And in as much as they say they are not judgmental and they want to be welcoming to the people who do not abstain. At some point, they are crucifying them because they don't want to treat you like any other person. Like you've sinned.
Yeah.
You've done what is not supposed to be done.
Yeah.
On menstrual health, I think they assume they learn it in school.
Right,
Okay,
so
for me, they learn it in school. They'll be taught by their teachers. That is the work of the teacher. That is why we pay school fees for them to be taught in school. Yeah, basically that is it.
So the church is not teaching you, your parents are not teaching you, it's the
School.
teacher. School is supposed to teach you, but when you arrive there, it's also not being taught. Right. What
So
about
just
you?
to say about church basically is on morality.
Sure.
Morality, right.
So anything, they'll believe that you talking about sex is a sin first. And they'll tell you the aspect of chastity. And when they talk about chastity, it's you to abstain.
Full stop.
Abstain.
Yeah.
And when you get married, you need to be faithful. Then they forget. That's where they leave it. You're supposed to abstain. Then they tend to tell you now. They don't tell you how to protect yourself until that time. They just tell you, they expect you to abstain, number one. Number two, they'll want you to be faithful. When you're being faithful, remember you're having sex. They are not preparing you. This is now the half-baked.
Right.
We are now becoming half-baked people into the aspect of SRH. We are half-baked. So that if now we get to meet these things on the ground, we now tend now to seclude ourselves. And the church will now say, no. For us, we say abstain. And you will not even get a single pastor saying something about sex. If the preaching is revolving about youths, they'll not talk about something to do with sex.
Right.
The preparation they'll always do. And even if somebody within the church starts having her menses now, it will now be story of the church. And some of us who are unlearned will be said to her, the daughter of so and so aborted. No, the aspect of blood.
Yeah,
no, we are
she's
still
bleeding
children.
in church.
We are children. So when I see blood, I go tell my mom, I saw so and so with the blood. My mom now becomes the I know it all. Yes. And when the I know it all in church, they now start saying she was trying to abort. We now go to the conclusion, but when you are supposed to prevent it, remember, it is now not abortion. It is just menses.
It's just menses,
And probably there was not that provision of the pads that you could use. Yes.
Oh, wow. Okay. For you?
In church, we sometimes have these things called family life. And in this family life, they will take the married only to be in that panel.
Okay.
As youths, they'll assume that we don't know all these things. And they'll give us our own topic that's not related to this. And deep inside, we youths, we know so many things. And you can't tell me, okay, this generation, let me say we are sexually addicted or kinda.
Okay.
So you can't tell me to be faithful, abstain, and you've not sat with me down and asked me what's happening, or rather told me whatever thing that's happening. I don't have the knowledge. You're supposed to put me down and discuss with me these things, but you're assuming because this is a church where we are holy. They always know that we youths, we don't know anything.
You're not supposed to know anything. You're just
supposed to know.
Yeah.
All these things are for married people. But behind the scene, things are different. But they don't know, let me say they don't know this. But we always just take it like they ask us to abstain. So let's just abstain, because you can't go and change their minds.
Yeah.
You can't go and tell them, we want you also to teach us all these things. Yeah.
Because where did you get that idea from?
They will tell you, where did you? Who told you?
Okay. I think we have a very good idea of the background. But the question I have for you, given what because we're going to look at what has happened since, but then given what you've gone through so far, what do you feel could have been done better? Just from that point of view, given the adults who are around you and all the opportunities that were there for them to talk to you, what do you think we could have done better?
I think providing a society that is more open for conversations, because the youth want people who can talk about these things, but they're not finding these people.
Right.
And they end up making mistakes that can be prevented earlier enough. So I think just having a society that is ready to talk and is not judgmental. People are different, and different things work out for different people. Person A will abstain, person B is sexually active. And they're sexually active, you don't want to tell them that they can protect themselves. You want to assume, we don't want to talk about it because it's bad manners. Then they end up getting STIs and you lose them. What's the point?
Right,
Yeah.
right. What about you?
Again, let the parents teach their children. Let the children know these things when growing up. Let the parents not assume that my child will be taught in school, and these teachers are also assuming that parents are teaching these students. Let also the parents teach.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. I like that.
For me, I'll start with the parents. That is your first teacher. So as my first teacher, let us walk the talk. Don't expect that I'll get it outside from the neighbor.
Yeah.
Let us have the awareness from the parents and the sensitization. Because if I can ask, when last did our parents talk to us about sex? You can't even remember. Even you cannot remember when your parent told you something about sex.
Right.
Now let us start with our parents. Let them also make us aware that there is this thing that is taking place, and let them not assume
right. Yeah.
that they are first teachers. Number 2 is the government. We have good policies outlined, but the worry is one: they don't trickle down. They remain up.
Yeah, they remain in very beautifully bound books on
They
a
are
shelf.
there. Within the shelf, you'll get them.
Yeah.
Youth-friendly services. But come to the ground, we don't get them.
Did you have any health facilities near you? Just because I forgot to ask, that were available to give you this information as well and to provide services where you started off, like back home.
In as much as there was the facility, it was full of judgmental nurses that are not
Right.
youth friendly.
Okay.
That they'll just be like any other person who will condemn you. Why are you pregnant?
Yeah.
You can't cross your
legs.
So just to continue,
Right.
the facilities might be there, but they're just dispensaries. They don't talk much as SRH. They are there, yes.
Yeah.
But they don't talk. The same way I see it, these things are there, but they're just there in documentation. There is nothing being done.
Okay.
Also, the government can now bring it. Now the parent is walking the talk. Now, why don't we now start this talk as early as primary? Let us let us stop the aspect of the knowledge, but let us now, this change will come if this person get the message. And if now they're supposed to talk to people, why are you secluding me from learning about periods as a man?
Yeah.
Talk so that I see the sense of buying my sister pads. Tomorrow I'll be a dad. I am a brother.
Yeah.
I'll meet somebody outside there.
You'll be a husband.
I'll be an husband.
And
my wife will be in need of pads.
Yeah.
If you leave the information for the ladies, then it will be for the ladies. The integration must be there for both genders. If you want the men to be the forefront, we must involve the men to help fight this thing.
Right.
But the moment we seclude these people, we will assume. The moment we assume, we'll now say it is the ladies' thing. But remember, we also need to build a generation that is very informed.
Right.
Because information is power. Lastly, is now on how the policies are being entrenched. Let the policy work across. If it is set to favor so and so, let it favor that person. Because we'll have a problem where we say we have a good policy, a youth-friendly policy, but we have judgmental people. How do you expect a judgmental person to offer youth-friendly service? A youth will come. And this also, though it is now getting to be a problem, when we are working things to youth, let us not have, though they hold up the experience, but let us also involve the youth.
The youth, yeah.
Let it
also go to church. Thank God their church, they have family program. Let us also integrate that. That if they have family, let us stop of talking about the married. What happens here before we get married? Let us start talking
and how do we prepare for marriage? Right?
How do you prepare to get a good wife?
Yeah.
Because church should now stop the idea of getting themselves on the aspect of character. They'll just tell you, you're looking for a wife. Look for a wife who is good, God-fearing. How will you know they are God-fearing? And probably, then now if this lady you say she's God-fearing, she gets pregnant, you now start saying, I knew she was bad. No. So let us start. It is a work for everyone, not only for specific people, but for everyone.
Right.
Yes.
Okay. And for you, Carren, I'll close with you. What are your thoughts in terms of how we can do better, or what should be done better?
That's why I was talking about the family. Yeah, that's why I was saying, family. We should make our children ready for all these things that's happening outside here. We're not supposed to assume, or rather, the parents are not supposed to assume that these children are getting the knowledge that is not actually there. So be the first teacher. Let me say, like, start teaching this child when he or she is still young.
Yeah.
They need this information.
Yes, because we do have age-appropriate
actually
education.
And you don't even know where, or the friends that they're going to meet outside there. Maybe the friends they're going to meet, they've been taught, they know or they have the information, and your child doesn't know, or they don't have. So they'll be like, why are you telling me your parents taught you this and my parents didn't? Is there anything that's I'm supposed to know again? And now this child is now going to go an extra mile to know. Yeah. And also again, if let me say, I meet a friend, and these friends have some knowledge and me, I don't have. So this person tells me, my parents told me this. These things are good. We are supposed to do this. Or rather, I assume that these things that this person is telling me are okay. And I go put these things in act, and they go give me any problem. I don't know if I'm going to blame my parents because they didn't taught me, or I'm going to blame this person, or I'm going to blame me because I went into this.
Yeah.
So I think the parents are supposed to be the first teachers,
right,
in every way.
Okay. I think the message comes out across very loud and clear. And I know one of the challenges that parents have is lack of information themselves, because how do I teach children what I didn't get to learn myself? And I've never really taken the time to understand or educate myself. And so I'm assuming someone else will learn, because I also have shame and embarrassment around those topics because I don't know any better. But I'm hoping this information stands out and we start to see, because it's a common theme. Like, you had such different upbringing, such different background, but the messaging seems to be similar across the board. And it just tells us that we are failing across the board as a country. It's not just a regional problem. And I'm hoping just holding space to have this conversation makes a bit of a difference, so that even us at the level of policy making, at the level of implementation, we start to see that there's a big gap and we need to do better when it comes to supporting our youth. And I feel like we should also now come to our youth to get feedback. We don't come and force information on you or ways on you that we think are working. We should actually get from you what is effective for you. This conversation continues because we've only started to scratch the surface. But again, in terms of time, I want us to cut this, and we'll pick up now from your university experience. And we'll pick that up as a part 2 to this episode. So I'll say to the audience, please stay tuned next week so that we can follow up this episode with part 2 and gain some insights on what happened for them during university and what has changed, if anything has improved, or if they're still stuck in the same place. Thank you so much for joining us on this episode, and we look forward to seeing you again next week.